How's it going, cool kids and campers? This is Leovold Gaming here for an educational video for Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. Today I will be showing you how to start early game in order to dominate some late game. In the game of Age of Empires, it's all about strategy. You got to get those resources, get them efficient, and get those paladins a-pumping. Please enjoy. Just to start it all off, I just wanted to say the first thing you should always do is have your hotkeys prepped in order to queue up some villagers to begin with. Standard hotkeys is H for your hometown center and Q for villagers. So make sure those fingers are on H and Q. Now, I do recommend that you can change your hotkeys. Late game, having hotkeys accessible for what you want, it's a lot better to manage a large empire. As you can tell, the first thing I do is queue up some villagers real quick. You use all your food. You always want to pump those villagers out. The second thing I do after that is grab 2 villagers to start building houses. Housing is the first thing that's going to slow you down early game, so make sure you always have some room for space. Starting, you can build 4 houses and 1 windmill. That's the most efficient way to use your wood early game. You want to be able to produce as many villagers as you can and collect as much food as you can. Early game, get your scouts. Go get the llamas. Go get the sheep. Whatever other llama, turkey, or sheep that's nearby, bring them in closer. Early game. If your town center is not pumping out villagers, what is it doing for you? The moment you have more than 50 food, go to your town center, queue another villager. Don't wait until you can stockpile 200, 300, 400. It's not going to do you any good. Once you've been pumping out villagers, send them all only to food collection only. Once you get to 11 food collectors, as you'll see here, I will then start sending them to get wood. At about 11 is where you're going to make it to the point where you're getting a villager constantly from the town center, but still having food incoming. Now, this strategy does make you a little bit slower to the feudal age, but the feudal age research is such a long gap of not collecting more villagers that I forfeit that in order to have more villager count, so that when I get to the point where I'm researching Castle Age, by the time I'm out of the Castle Age, I have more resources piled. Now, when you do get to the Castle Age, you want to pop down 2 more town centers as soon as you can. As you can see above, I still have only 11 villagers getting food. Everything else is getting wood, and I'm about to go to my town center once I hit 500 and then research advance to the feudal age. As you can tell, I always have something queued up in my town center. You never want to let your first town center kind of sit, kind of idle. Always want to have something up, whether it's queuing up villagers or queuing up to go to the next age. The reason why I shoot at 11 and then put all to wood is I found any more villagers into food and you'll actually start running out of resources in order to be putting down farms, if that makes any sense. Another thing I want to point out is the first thing you should do after you put down your first farm is go over to your mill and put that auto generate farms. You never want to have farms decaying. It's one of the greatest live comfort of life add-ons they did for Age of Empires. I wish it was in there forever. Just a few things to add while we're waiting for the town center to get into the feudal age. Once you see your villagers kind of straying too far for a resource, always send them somewhere else to do it more efficiently. A lot of time is wasted on villagers just wandering around trying to do something else. Another great quality of life add-on is when you're building anything, farms, houses, stables, is hold the shift button while placing it down, and then I will actually queue the villager on steps, whether it's build this house, then build this building, then build that building, or troops. You know, if you want them to go a certain way across the battlefield, go around, you can hold the shift and click each point, and they'll walk to each of those points in the order you click them. As you can see, I've jumped ahead probably by a minute and a half. I put down the 2 last buildings that I need to go from the feudal age into the castle age. As you can tell by my villager count, in my resource gathering, I am stockpiling so that when I jump from the feudal age to the castle age, I'll have enough to drop down 2 town centers and pump out more villagers in order to collect more resources. Remember, as I said earlier, this game's all about resource gathering, being efficient with your time, and keep the Palladins pumping. I just wanted to shift a little bit ahead of time so you didn't have to watch, Castle Age being researched. What you're about to see is I'm noticing my stone count for once I jump into Castle Age. So I didn't need the gold right then and there. So I wanted to take those villagers and put them into stone gathering so that the moment the Castle Age was ready, I could be dropping down more town centers. As you can see, I just entered into the Castle Age. I'm instantly putting down a town center. What I like to do is take all my wood gatherers, because that's probably the most beaten off the path. I don't want to overcrowd the center town, especially if you have some elbow room, as we do have in this game. I'm going to take all those wood gatherers. I'm going to just make sure they pound out that first town center ASAP. And then once that's up, I'm going to take the other town center and that town center and just queue up as many villagers as I can. As you're about to see, probably not even 40 seconds after that first town center, the second town center is done. I'm placing now a third town center. Like I said earlier, early Castle Age, you want to put as many town centers down. You might say, oh, Michael, my gold's low. Oh, Michael, I don't have a lot of this. Remember, once you have enough food and villagers, it doesn't matter if your gold is low right now. When you have 3-to-1 ratio of gold getting villagers, you're going to out-resource anybody else in the same lobby as you. Once you get to about the mid-20s villagers on wood, you want to start weaning them off of the wood, putting them to more food. Now you can start putting it to gold and stone. Later in the game, you might want to have 30, 35. If you have over 50 on wood, it's because you've run out of all other resources and you just don't want to kill your villagers. But at this point of the game, early 20s, you should have enough of a stockpile and enough heavy flow to build whatever you really need. And then start pumping out once your teammate has a market. You want to pump out as many carts as you can. Gold runs out very quickly in this game. Resources just don't seem to outlast. So the best thing to do is have a steady supply of wood, food coming in by your villagers that you'll rarely run out of, and then carts getting you gold. A lot of researches are very expensive, especially on the gold side. You want all of that just passive income, you could say. Now, it will cost gold up front, but usually at the distance we have set up, after about 4 trips, the cart's already paid itself off. Everything after that is all profit. Now, I've skipped ahead a little bit. You don't need to see all the time sitting getting resources. What I'm about to do is put into research for the Imperial Age. This is where things really start kicking off. As you can tell, I had a lot of carts queued. One thing a lot of people won't do is organize their queues. They're like, oh, well, I already have this other stuff queued. This research can kind of wait. If I'm going to put down the resources in order to research something that's like important to me, it's going to go right then and there. You don't want to kind of go like, oh, we'll just let it happen, take its time. Another thing, like I was saying with the carts, a lot of carts is good. I think at the end of this game, I had about 60 carts getting passive income for me. Another great thing, the quality of life that Age of Empires has added, is if you have more than one market, the carts will actually go to the one that makes them the most money. So let's say you have a lot of markets just kind of lined up to each other, so you can just pump out multiple at a time, because remember how I said it's all about efficiency. Your carts will learn that, and they go to the furthest one, and let's say your markets are in the way, you can destroy them because it's done its job. It made you those carts a lot faster, so you could get that gold quicker, and that's all it was needed for. As you can tell, the enemy has kind of trying to push. Don't ever underestimate a good defense. We have those castles. We have the wall. It's going to stonewall them. As you can tell, though, I'm clearing away this little patch of forest so I can get some stables. Now you think 3. Michael, that's plenty. Late game, if you do the right resources, this is what you're going to want to see. So that when I queue this up, I think it was 18 or 19 stables. I want that many paladins being made every 4 seconds. And that's how you're going to win. So as I have these stables going, the enemy has made it through our first series of walls. The second series of walls is still holding strong. We're adding a few more castles just to hold the front. I'm about to start pumping out some paladins. Don't think just because you have a paladin, it's made, it's in the bag, no big deal. Research their armor, research the damage, research everything you can to help your troop. Because if you want to 1v1 troops, it's going to be ugly. You want your troop to be the best version that it can be so that it can push back whatever force. As you can tell with the help of the castles, the paladins are going to be pushing in there and pretty much taking it out. There was a mishap. I want to point out, if you're on a team, if you're trying to hold a front with a wall, don't have villagers cutting trees around the walls. It will place a hole next to the wall and it will make it useless. Put your villagers in the back. I don't care if it takes a little bit longer for them to get resources. Well, it makes my base too big. It's hard to organize. Give your people space. Put the villagers in the safest spot necessary. Villagers dying is one of the hardest things to come back to because you don't start feeling it until your resources are too low. Then you might be spread out too thin and you've already lost the fight. If you're going to lose a unit, make sure it's a military unit. Now, something else that is just honestly absolutely amazing when it comes to commanding units, military units, is I have it set as hotkey R. It's called attack move. So when you select your units, it's in the top right corner of their little command box. You can select a point and they will attack every enemy they see in between where they're standing now and where that attack point is. So what I do is, let's say they're coming in from away. You don't want to select the first unit and then you lose some units behind them. You want to just push through. And as you can watch here, we lost quite a bit. The Rams got through. There was a hole because of the forest cutting, that fiasco. Paladins had to go off and protect some things. But besides that, once this little fiasco got handled, Paladins was able to push everything back. And then we secured the front again. As you can see, we've jumped about 10 minutes ahead. Obviously, you keep getting resources. You keep pumping out an army. What I'm about to do here is setting up for a good final push. What I usually do is I start the game very defensively when you're in the later ages to fight them off. And then you're going to want to go on the aggression. Paladins are great for both. What I like to do for aggression, though, is you have your paladin forces, but you're going to kind of support them, you either using as many battering rams as you can produce or as many trebuchets. Now, the thing about trebuchets, usually the push is a lot slower, while battering rams are the better, but some civilizations don't have the best battering ram. As long as you can at least upgrade the battering ram once, it's going to make it worth your while. Now we're just going to wait here. I know I'm about to start building I have my first siege workshop. I'm checking for the paladins. I'm going to queue a whole bunch more because, you never have enough. And then I'll be queuing up some siege workshops. Here we jump about another 8 minutes. Just, want to show you as much gameplay as giving you the tutorial. I want to say I have about 30 or 40 battering rams at this point. One thing I do love about AoE nowadays is you can queue groups. If you look into the bottom middle of the screen, you can actually set up groups by the units. You can mix the units. It just makes it a lot easier to organize an army. That way, when you're giving out commands or if you need to chase things down, you can. What I like to do first is I'll push the Paladins in order to clear out units. Of course, you should start rolling in the battering rams as soon as possible. They are a very slow unit, but once those battering rams get to those castles, it's usually GG, game over. As if you just got into a game of wreck and your team's an 87 overall and the other team is a 99. That type of GG, game over. So now as you start this final push, one of the things you want to do is make sure your battering rams are set to the aggressive stance. When they get down there, you don't want them to only hit a building that's hitting them back or anything like that. You want them to go after everything in their path. They will go after units. They're not super efficient with units, but that's what you're going to do. Now that first batch of Paladins, I knew I was going to lose quite a bit. You have to be willing to sacrifice them to make sure there's no units that can kill your battering rams before they get to those castles. I did already have some trebuchets built from fighting off those battering rams at the wall. Those I will probably aim at the first or second castle. It's okay to shoot at a castle behind another castle because the trebuchets can outshoot castles. The castles do not have the same range as trebuchets. So the Paladins, let them run around, let them kill whatever they want. You just have to have them around in order to defend the battering rams and the trebuchets. So just watch and enjoy what's going to happen. As you can see here, I took down one of the castles pretty easily with 5 trebuchets. I think it takes 18 or 19 hits. And at full length, the trebuchets actually miss pretty often. But with castles, they hit pretty good just because they have a larger base. As you can see, I keep moving the Paladins in and around. I'm going to lose a few to these castles, but I want to make sure nothing can go get my trebuchets and my battering rams. Now the battering rams, as you're about to see, I'm going to set that waypoint Wade in the back. You can do it on the mini map, or you can click the mini map to look over there and then set the attack move to, but you want to attack move them. Now once the battering rams are about that close, I'll let the Paladins have at it. For the majority of the point, they're going to ignore the castles because the castles are really not going to do that much to them, and the battering rams are going to come in and smoke. I'm a little upset I actually pulled away from the screen because I wish we were witnessing that, because I mean the battering rams literally just got there. Let me queue up. I think at this point I was just queuing up more to replace anything lost. What's great about the Franks is they will pump out cavalry at a very, very quick pace. Which makes it very expensive because Paladins cost a lot, and when you can pump out 20 every 5-6 seconds, it gets expensive. As you can tell, the battering rams, castles do nothing to it because archery does nothing to it, and 6 of them can take down a castle in just a few seconds. I mean, look, just watch how fast that castle came down. Remember, guys, Paladins to help protect. It was nice that I was playing with someone who's the Britons, and then what they did was basically just have the archers to support the Paladins. And the battering rams, they're now the front line because the enemy team basically has no more military units. Everything's kind of been just taken out, and they're just bulldozing through anything they want. At this point in time, because all the gold and stone has kind of been used, you should have your farms on auto queue. You should have plenty of wood at this point. You can almost let your villagers just kind of be like, leave them alone. Just let them do their thing. I forgot I had these guys. And I make them, I set that waypoint way to the back. As you can tell, you can just do it on the mini map and it counts. Mini map is your friend in this game. Don't turn a blind eye to any resource that Age of Empires gives you, because it is beneficiary. As you can tell, I've busted through the castle line. At this point in time, yeah, let the Batterams have fun, but the Paladins, once castles are gone, Paladins they're going to tear away at everything. I think the game ends in like the next 20 seconds or so. Not a lot can be done once the castles are gone. So we'll sit here. I'll let the game finish, and then we'll go to the end screen so we can look at some of the stats, and then we'll talk you through it. And here you go. Here they are. They're resigning. No wonder that I weren't victorious. I shall abdicate. And then once one does, usually the whole team does. Now I'm going to leave the map. If you look at resources, if you see the economy, I dwarf anybody else. Remember, you keep those villagers, you keep them pumping, and basically whatever you want made later in the game, you can get. If you look, I think it was technology. I'm going to go to that screen. I have the highest research count, and I also had some of the best times when it came into the ages. Also, if you look at the villager high, I had a villager high of 147. For now, that wraps everything up, guys. Thank you for watching the video. If you'd like, leave comments. If you have questions, I will respond to all the comments on this video. Please like, subscribe, recommend more videos. I'm very active in my community. Any feedback will be greatly appreciated. And once again, thank you for stopping by. Have a great day.